Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. It is a magical Monday. I'm in the studio and grateful to be back with you. You guessed it. And yeah, today we are going to talk about, I'm going to just jump right in. Oh, before I do, one thing that I wanted to throw out there. Those of you who've been listening for a while know that for about a year, well, a little less than a year, we were doing retreats here at the Mystic Manor in Los Angeles, Venice Beach. And people would come and spend a full week on retreat. And we were filming the late night show Optimistic, which, by the way, if you've never checked out any of those episodes, go to optimistic.tv. And I still get people, when are you doing retreats again? And we have not decided to do retreats again, but we did just have a sort of unexpected last minute opening here at the Manor. And that hasn't happened in a quite a long time. And so I thought, on the back of someone, by the way, writing me an incredibly beautiful note. I want to give a shout out to Lee in Michigan for sending just a beautiful note to me that says, "Smooth seas don't make for skillful sailors." It says African proverb. It's sort of the reference to that. And you guys hear me say it all the time. Smooth seas never made for a skilled sailor. And anyway, Lee just sent a message with that card and expressing her appreciation and mentioned retreats. And so it kind of made me think of it as I was just about to record we had a last minute, unexpected opening here at the Manor. And typically, it's co-living and people staying longer term. But since so many have been asking over the months and years since we did full-on retreats last, I just thought I'd throw it out, here on the podcast. If anyone wants to come to LA and spend some time at the Manor, we have some space at the moment, and I don't know how long it'll last, whether it will be a couple weeks, into October. Really, like I said, typically we have a lot of notice and planning when there's an opening, and then, someone new sort of moves in. But everything for a reason, right? And so perhaps there's someone out there that would like to come and spend, a few days or a week, or longer. And we'd love to have you if that's the case. It's definitely, even those that came on retreat, a long time ago, that was very curated and planned, unlike this. But a lot has changed at the Manor. It's definitely gotten a lot of upgrades and love here since. And so, if you're interested, why don't you, probably best thing to do is to reach out to my partner, Karen, who's sort of the community manager here. And her email is Karen, Karen, at mysticmanor.la, like Los Angeles. So Karen at mysticmanor.la. Just reach out to her if you're interested. And she can share all the details. And it'd be really cool to have someone listening to the show back in the space for the first time in, many years. So just wanted to throw that out there. But otherwise today, I really wanted to share, this last week has been extremely intense. even up to actually going into recording the show. A dear friend who I met through this podcast years and years ago, who painted a mural here, came to visit. And as soon as she landed, she, was going to stay with us for a couple weeks and had a family emergency and is now bouncing right back out of town again. And it's just been one thing after another. And one of the things that happened in the last week that I wanted to reflect on and share was, so there is a roomie here who I just adore. He incredible soul who's added so much to the space from furniture to, he's a very gifted, handyman. And this place is like a motel with the amount of need it has energetically. And he's just been brought so much to the space. He also, when he first got here many months ago, had left kind of a bad situation that ended up becoming a legal situation. Then he had an accident that became a legal situation. And so, him and I, we have a great relationship, but I kind of got in my head, and my partner, Karen, as well, this idea that like, okay, he's an incredible addition to the space, and he's sort of very sensitive to germs or, this thing will make him sick. Or, you guys who've been listening a long time have heard me say, I've told the story my whole life. I don't believe in getting sick, and it has served me really, really well. Now, we all know those people who are sort of on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're very sensitive, and, this can affect me and that can affect me. And so him and I have been quite different in that sort of, and we banter sometimes about, this health issue or whatever. And I always am like the extreme opposite of like, it doesn't affect me. So anyway, I'm kind of giving some backstory because in how easy it is to create a, sort of a story around someone, right? And so this person, has had several sort of like injuries, and and if I'm being honest, my judgment is like, oh, this person's dramatic. They're exaggerating it. Like, I love them, but you drama a little bit, and sort of we all know that person that likes to be sick or likes to be victimized or whatever. So I honestly, if I'm, just being completely transparent, my own perspective is like, there's some of that energy with this person. So fast forward to, last week or week and a half ago, he doesn't have a car at this time. My partner isn't using hers a whole lot, and it works out a deal with him where he can use her car, for like a month or so at least. And it's like his car. He's going to take it over for at least a month. And so 2 days within using the car, he gets rear-ended. And, as soon as he comes back and reports it, my partner and I are like, oh gosh, geez, and then it's like, I didn't call the he didn't call the cops and didn't get clear insurance. And it started to seem like the guy was getting weird with him on the phone. And then, days later, now our friend, who lives with us is like, oh, now I'm feeling a concussion. My head's hurting. And we're like, oh, here he goes. He's doing I'm going to be sick and drama again. And that's rolling into, us, the ability for her to get her car fixed. And so it was us sort of not assuming, giving someone the benefit of the doubt, right? It's like we've seen this pattern before. Oh, here you go. Here's the third time you've been injured in something, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, you're liking the drama of being sick or injured or hurt or whatever, and you're kind of asking for it and playing it up, and maybe you want to get benefit from a payout or whatever, and that's not the path, being a victim. And that's kind of where my judgment was going with it, and my partner's as well. Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to tell you about our sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit that makes it easy to skip trips to the grocery store by delivering farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to your door. And when it comes to options, let's be honest, variety is the spice of life. That's why HelloFresh's menu includes 40 recipes and over 100 add-on items to choose from every week. And if you're like me, your fall schedule doesn't leave you with much time to spare. With HelloFresh, you don't need to spend all evening in the kitchen to whip up a delicious and nutritious meal. With their quick and easy recipes and 15-minute meals, you can get dinner on the table in less time than it takes to get takeaway or delivery. When I tried HelloFresh myself for the first time recently, I was extremely impressed with the quality and flavor of everything that I prepared. So if you'd like to see and taste why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit for yourself, go to hellofresh.com/50positivehead and use code 50positivehead for 50% off plus 15% off for the next 2 months. Once again, that's hellofresh.com/50positivehead and use code 50positivehead for 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. Bon appetit. So, then another day or so, I have an interview, which is yet to be released. You'll hear it in the coming weeks. But this interview, another podcaster is sharing how she originally found Positive Head back in 2016, I believe it was, when she went through a really, really tough time. And she had a huge tragedy because she got rear-ended. And now this is the day after kind of a lot of drama with our roomie around this and us sort of judging him, if you will, that he's being melodramatic and exaggerating, and causing even more problems in the situation. And then I'm hearing, in an interview from her the very next day that she got rear-ended, and as she put it, you'll hear in the forthcoming interview, I think come out like mid October or so. She's like, yeah, it was not a big accident or anything. It was a kind of a bump, a fender bender, but it was enough for her to make her break her water. She was like 6 months pregnant, and it caused her baby to come early. And so instantly, it's not lost on me. It's like, oh my gosh, we're kind of giving him crap for thinking he's being over dramatic about this fender bender. And, now he's going to get MRIs and in the, laid up for days. And, it caused the other driver to want to get a lawyer instead of just taking care of fixing my partner's car. And, and then, so as I'm hearing her story, I'm like, oh, sheesh, hold on. She barely got hit and it caused her babies to come early. And then the baby lived for like 20 days and passed. And that's how she ended up finding the podcast. She was, so in such a dark state at that time. She found Positive Head and it really helped her through it. And now all these years later, she's got her own successful podcast and is an Akashic Records reader. And it kind of that tragedy led her sort of in a way on to the path that she's on now. So instantly I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is this like a message for me? Like we've been being a-holes, sort of judging not giving him the benefit of the doubt, right? Maybe he does have a concussion from this fender bender. Maybe he should be laid up for days. Maybe, maybe it is all authentic and not just a melodrama to get attention or money from the other person or whatever. And so now, fast forward a couple days more, and a day or so after that, my partner needs to run an errand. Her car's kind of messed up. I let her use my car. Guess what happens? Someone rear ends her. Now, she had a huge talk with the roomie who wrecked her car the day before and said, had this same thing happened to me, I guarantee you I wouldn't be in the hospital or sick or laid up. It's barely anything, She got hit. She in a way got to live that out because she wasn't injured or didn't, there's no drama medically around it. But it's like, obviously there's a lot of energy and lesson and message tied up in here. I mean, what's the chances? Her car gets hit. Then I hear a story of a minor accident that, from a guest that had a huge impact in her life. And then my car gets hit, all within a few days of each other. And so, what I've taken away from this is really what I've kind of stated throughout. It's really, really important for us to give people the benefit of the doubt. You can have a preconceived notion about someone. You may see evidence of someone, they have a predisposition for this, that, or the other. But when we start now deciding who they are and what their intentions are and where they're coming from, and sort of writing off what they're saying, I think you're always going to be best to give someone the benefit of the doubt and to really analyze, like, could what they're saying be the case? Could it be that I've pigeonholed them? I've put them in a box as this person who, in his case, like, oh, you're someone who wants the drama. And as I said to him, I was like, my concern as a friend is that you subconsciously, this is like your existential kink, there's a book called Existential Kink. Actually, I'd like to have the author on, which is all about how we get off on these like shadows, in ourselves that we're not aware of, and how to bring those to light. And it's like, is this your existential kink, that you like being a victim and being in accidents? And, what happens if you attract a really severe one, and then you're justified and you're, getting $1 million payout for losing a leg or whatever? You don't want that, and I stand by that, of course. That's true. Be really aware. But for me to decide that's what he's doing or not doing, I don't think it's the path. And so, I think you can offer to someone, if you suspect that that's what's going on, you can certainly offer that. And I did, in a way that's like, hey, look, as a friend, aside from the annoyance of you bringing injury into it as well, that seemed unlikely. 3 days later, all of a sudden you've got, a concussion, and, it doesn't even look that bad for my judgment. Right. And now that's causing delays and complicating the fix of the car that was lent to you graciously, that now is affecting me, because now I have to lend my partner my car, and, and on it goes, the ripple of impact. Right. So I think it's just, really, really important you can offer your concern, but to assume like, this is it, this is what's happening, here's who you are, I've decided this is what you're doing. I think we got to be really careful with that. And for me, I think it is a really good lesson. Could there be lesson on the other side for him? I mean, my partner literally said to him the day before she was hit, she said, all I can say is, if this same thing happened to me, I can almost guarantee you I wouldn't have some, medical issue around it. And she had almost a similar thing happen the next day in my car, and she didn't. So maybe that's some sort of, maybe there's medicine for both, right? But all I can do is really check myself. And after seeing the synchronicity of all these things transpiring all together in a row, like I did, it's like, okay, what is being told here? The fact that I interviewed someone who had a little fender bender and lost her child over it, and I mean, can you have a more significant cost for something that maybe superficially didn't look like much as far as the actual accident itself? So yeah, that's just one of many challenging energies that have been floating in the last week or so. And but you know what, it's all for good and growth, and continue to just focus on, what would love do next? What is the most loving thing I can do? What is the most expansive thing I can do? And knowing that on the backside of any challenges, there's the upside goes on even higher, and especially if we approach it with humility and really being willing to look at ourselves, and could I be out of alignment here? Could I be, in my case, making snap judgments, and putting someone in a box unfairly? So hope this helps for someone out there going through something similar. I imagine there is reflections that have some sort of a similar scenario happening, where they're relying on past data and jumping to conclusions about someone maybe unfairly. And what I would say is, just, you're never going to lose to give someone the benefit of the doubt. And just, until you know for sure, don't decide that they're in the wrong. And it doesn't mean to, put yourself in harm's way or anything like that, obviously, but just give people the benefit of the doubt. It is in, as St. Francis of Assisi said, it's in giving that we receive. It's in pardoning that we are pardoned. So, anything is in forgiving that we get forgiven. It's like, what you're giving is what you're going to receive. If you're judging, you shall be judged. So, judge not lest ye be judged, I think it's actually a Bible verse. And I think that's a really, really crucial message. Certainly one for me this week. I hope it helps you passing along the story. And that's my story for today. I'm sticking to it. And until next time. Oh, I do have a song for you. Great new artist I recently started tuning into. The song is called Sensitive by Jean du Voyage. Beautiful track. Till next time, journey well. Love you so, so much.